All right. Tenakotu, Tenakotu, Tenakotu katoa. Kia ora, everyone. My name is Holly Morchat. I'm the general manager here at ACE and happy to welcome you all to our first Lightning Series webinar. The idea behind the Lightning Series is to provide you with some short and sharp content and offer you a brief opportunity to ask questions with each of our experts. So let us know if you like the Lightning series and we'll schedule some more. Or if there's any, topics you want to see some more Lightning series webinars on. If you've never joined us before, I want to briefly share a little bit about ACE New Zealand. We are the consultants champion. We elevate the voices, preparedness, and professionalism of consultancy firms working in the built and natural environment. So if you're employed by one of the ACE member companies, guess what? That makes you a member too. So ACE New Zealand, we provide tools, advice, advocacy, leadership, all these things that allow you to build a strong and sustainable business. And most importantly, a reputation as a consultant of choice. So I'm just going to put another encouragement out there. If there's a topic you want to see us deliver on, or even if there's an issue you're facing in your work and you need help with, reach out to us at let's talk at ACENZ, that's ACENZ.org.nz. And we'd love to give it a go at helping. So a little bit about how today's webinar works. Everyone's auto muted to cut down on line noise. However, if you do have a question, just type that into the Q&A section. If it's easy to answer, Ben might answer those as they come. Otherwise, we'll moderate all the questions at the end. And yes, we are recording this webinar. So if you have something pop up or you have a colleague that you think would be interested, you'll automatically be emailed a hyperlink later today. And I encourage you to share that with your colleagues or anyone who might be interested. All right. So today's webinar is top 10 tips for successful bid responses. And we're going to hear from Ben Paul of the BD Ladder. I'll also note that we've got the slides available as PDFs for you to download. You can access those in the handouts section of your control panel. All right, that's my bit done. So now, without further ado, I'm handing over to Ben and we'll dive right into the first of our Lightning series.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction, Holly, and good afternoon to everyone. And I obviously run the BD Ladder. We're a business development consultancy that helps people in professional services, particularly consultant engineers. But I won't take up too much time. Let's get straight into the lightning stuff and give you the top 10 tips for those successful bid responses. After all, consultant engineers. We have trouble. Can you hear me, Holly?
I can hear you, Ben, but let's, can anyone else from the audience type into the chat area if you're having trouble hearing Ben, and then I'll know whether it's just with one viewer or with everyone. Anyone else mind typing in? Here we go. Oh, sorted.
Okay, all good.
Perfect.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks,
good to know you can hear me. Hopefully I can do some good stuff from now on. Okay, so we'll get into those bid responses that everyone has to do, particularly when they work with government organisations, but other organisations also put them out. So the first one sounds really simple, but read that RFP. And I would say avoid assumptions. The classic I always hear when a bid team starts is we cannot talk to the people who've issued the RFP. It doesn't always say that you can't. And actually, if you check it in, you sometimes can have conversations with a client, which is really useful because you can dig a bit deeper and find out what it is. So make sure you read it clearly, understand all the deadlines and understand what's involved, and don't make assumptions. Just because most don't let you talk to people doesn't mean that this one won't. Then it's really important to form that team that's going to actually have that response. Someone needs to take overall responsibility. You need a bid leader and sign off, someone to hold people account to deadlines. That's really, really important. Then look at who's going to play what role, who's going to answer which bits in a technical aspect. Do you have any BD or bid resources to support? Actually, will you need to get an external consultant on board? Is it that kind of big bid that you need extra help or extra resource? And also have independent reviewers lined up. Make sure everyone understands their role on the team. If you're forming a team in a very short timeline project, everyone needs to understand their roles. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for failure. And then you need to plan, but don't plan from the start of the project, plan from the end part of the project. So understand when the deadline is and what you need to do to achieve that deadline. One of the biggest mistakes people make and makes them miss their deadline or have issues at the end and lots of stress is not understanding the submission process and how long it takes to submit. Now, luckily these days we don't often have to print bid responses, so you don't have to worry about that. But actually, if you're uploading and there's a certain time you have to upload it on, you don't want to be in that last half hour, because as we know, the internet is somewhat unreliable. So plan to do it early, because when everyone's uploading in a panic, you will find that it might get delayed and you might miss that deadline. So have a clear delivery plan for everyone. When do they need to submit their part of the bid response? When do you need things back by? Have clear timelines, and whoever's managing that, make sure you have contingency, because my experience of working with engineering firms is, because of client work, technical experts will be late on their submission. So make sure that the bits that you need from them in the bid have certain leeway, so even though you have a deadline, you can work around it should they be late due to client work. And the first thing you should write in your bid is the executive summary, which may sound a bit counterintuitive to a lot of people. They might actually think that'd be the last thing you'd write, is a summary of the document, but actually you need to do that because it explains your key winning messages. It's more than just, this is what our document is, or thanks for letting us respond to your RFP. It's really around, what is it that makes you unique? Why should the client pick you? And how can you best help them with the project and what it is? And how does it tie to their business goals and their ambitions? And also make sure that RFP hits the RFP scoring criteria. So if they've asked for experience, talk about your experience in this section. If they've asked for projects you've delivered on, give a little bit of summaries. Obviously, it'll be in the main document, but give it there. So that's really important. How do you tell a telling story? You have an introduction. You talk about why that issue or project is important. You know, what the person will get from reading on in this exec summary, understanding what the client needs are. Then the main body is kind of the 3 or 4 points that you'll actually provide that solution to. And then that conclusion will be, well, here's the 1 or 2, 3 key messages as to why we're the consultant you should pick for this project. Again, pricing. Don't leave it to the last minute. Yes, it feels like it's quite easy. You can just write in a number, right? But do it early. Strategic pricing takes time and thought, and you'll want to review it and bat it around. Price to the scope. You may think that there's a better option for the client, and actually it may be a better solution. But if you put that price in to what you've in essence over-engineered, it will blow it out and you will lose it on price. If they've got a tight scope, price to that scope. If there are alternatives or options that would make the project better, by all means, add those in as additions and give a price to those as well. So we feel this would be, as a consultant, a better option for you and deliver a better outcome. It will have a higher cost. This is what it looks like. And try and give options and alternative pricing methods in that pricing. So this is what you could achieve for this money. This is what you could achieve for that money. This is what it would look like. Give those options of how the team could work, different timescales, different options. That will make it easy for the client to actually understand that you understand the project, and also you're thinking about their budget and options they can do in achieving that. Buyers and case studies. These take a lot of time and lots of individual effort, so get started on them early. Now you'll find procurement are a little bit curious. They won't necessarily look at what's in your bid and assume that that's gospel. They'll check it against your website and particularly your LinkedIn profile. So if you have stuff missing off those that's in your bid response, you may get caught out and they may query it and not see it as true. Much how people do now with their recruitment process, people are bringing in that to procurement processes. With your case studies, make them more personal. Say who did the work, what they did and why they did that work, and then really state what the outcome was you achieved from that project. I see so many case studies where it just says the service was delivered. It doesn't say what the outcome was. And so many don't have client quotes. You might tell me it was a great project. I'm not sure I believe it. If your client tells me it was a great project or a great outcome, I will believe it, and so will the person reading it. So that's really, really key to make those come alive. Design. If you have the ability to put some design in a front cover and some nice images in your thing, make sure the design ties in with your winning messages. I see so many front covers where if it's for a building or a road, it has a picture of that road or a map, which means if 12 submissions come in, because there are that many consulting engineering firms out there for these big projects and smaller projects, they all look the same. It's really hard to differentiate and it doesn't capture the imagination. So if, for example, you're going to say, getting it done ahead of time, want to have a picture of someone winning a race, something different that ties into that message. Just think a little bit differently. Get as many infographics in as you can as well. Process diagrams, break up text. Engineering is a lovely process in itself, but diagrams explain it really, really well to the reader and make it come alive. Then you can have the text underneath. It's worth investing that time where you can. Yes, at some point you need an independent review. So you might think the bid is brilliant, and once you're in that bubble and the team's in that bubble, you're all going down the same route, which is great, you're aligned. But get someone towards the end of the process, just before you're submitting, 2 or 3 days out, or a week out if you can, to actually review it with a critical eye, with the RFP in hand, with some fresh eyes. It's amazing what someone who's experienced in this or seen it will actually provide at that point. You can really shift it and move from a good response to a really compelling response at this stage. So make sure that is, and get that person lined up early and listen to the feedback and action it. Finally, as a team, you should review against the RFP criteria. So what that means is when you take the scoring card, and it can be independent or it can be you, take the scoring card, read every section, make sure everything's covered off. Have you ticked the boxes? In that executive summary, if you look at it, has every part of the scoring criteria been touched in that executive summary? Has it come through in every section? Are you hitting the mark? Because that's really, really key to a big response. And then finally, tip 10, getting there. This is somewhat alongside the bid, but not the actual bid itself. You can use content marketing. So maybe you can't talk to people there, but actually, this is a great time if you're bidding for a project on, say, water infrastructure, to get those articles about the future of water infrastructure, what your firm has done, get those on your. That doesn't actually break or breach any tender rules. It just means that your attending audience will see extra stuff. If they choose to read it, great. If they don't, it's still in their consciousness that you're in this sector and you're active and you're paying attention.
I might have you just real quick re-summarize that last point, at least for my perspective. You froze for a wee bit of it. So
okay, cool. So content marketing, get your relevant articles out there, things that relate to that bid now. So if you're talking on water infrastructure project, get some projects and case studies up on your website and out on LinkedIn that are relevant in that sector that will be useful to someone who would read it. You can go a next stage, you can actually sponsor those articles on LinkedIn. You can get a sector to see it. You can actually get a company and an organization to see it, which doesn't break those procurement rules, because after all, it's out there in the public domain. If they choose to read the article, it's extra content they've taken. But even the fact that they'll see it pop on their feed shows that they understand that you actually are in this sector and you're doing good work, even if they choose not to read it. And just to help you out, there's our 12 steps to writing a winning bid response. We've got some supporting material there. Obviously, the links will work when you download the handout. So there's lots we can do there. There's a bid no bid tool, so you can make sure you actually understand whether you should go for the bid or not, which wasn't a tip we brought today, because we assumed that if you wanted the top 10 tips, you're actually actively going for the bid anyway. And that's it. Well within time, which is what I pledged to do. That's a lightning lesson for you.
Woohoo! Thank you so much for that. So to all of our viewers, if you do have any questions, now's your time. Ask something specific about any situations you're going through. Type them into the chat or the Q&A section. Both Ben and myself can view those and we'll answer. In the meantime, I'll do some of my closing announcements, and that'll give you guys some time to consider questions. Of course, we've got today's webinar with Ben. We've got another one coming up, I believe in May. But basically, this is just a call out. Check out all of our future events on our events page on the website, asens.org.nz/events. I want to highlight one that's happening next Tuesday, the 4th of April. We actually have a breakfast with Minister Megan Woods. She's the minister in charge of building and construction, infrastructure, housing. And I've recently learned that she's also just taken over a portfolio that's going to review the dam safety regulations across New Zealand. So that's scheduled in Wellington. It's a breakfast, 7:30 to 9, 4th of April. We also have online tickets. So if you're like, dang it, I'd love to hear from her, you absolutely can. We're selling online tickets for $35. We'll have a dedicated staff member monitoring the Q&A area, so you will have an opportunity to engage with the minister. So I'm going to share a pop-up offer shortly. And so if you're interested in tickets, feel free to grab one. So I don't think any questions came in. That's fantastic. Our lightning series, short and sharp, top 10 tips. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. I'm going to share the pop-up offer with you now. There we go. Let's see if that works. And I'd like to say thank you all for tuning in. Again, you'll be emailed a recording to today's webinar. We're going to schedule a couple more of these lightning roughly 15 minutes of content webinar. So if there's a topic, something you want to see, feel free to reach out to us. Let's talk at asens.org.nz. Check out all of our future events. And again, thanks, Ben, for sharing. Thank you guys for tuning in. All right. And that's it. We'll wrap it up. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thanks.